Hi students. So since we are dealing these days with the revision for our national exam, we are going to revise this lesson of models, just to refresh your mind with the modal perfects and the model used in the present. So this is a lesson that you have in your national exam, and this is also a lesson that we had already seen in unit 2. So it's so important to re-explain it for you and to refresh your mind with it. So here in modal verbs, you know the modal verbs such as must, can, may, must, can't, might, should, and could. But what you should know is the difference between modal used in the present and modal perfect. So when I say modal perfect, what do I mean? I mean the modal plus the have plus the past participle, and of course the past participle is the third list that you have in your book. The thing that you should know about these models is the function of each model, and when do we use the modal perfect. So the functions we're going to see, and to start with, here, in order to express certainty with the modal perfect, I use must and I use can't plus have plus the past participle when you are talking about a past situation, of course, and you are almost sure of your facts. So when you say must, it means that you are sure of the fact you are talking about. Here, the must plus the past plus have plus past participle means a past situation. And also, if I say you are sure of something, it means that you have an evidence. This is the sum up of certainty used with the modal perfect. So when I say, you have two examples here with must and can't. So the first example is she must have passed her driving test. So when you draw this conclusion, she must have passed her driving test, this is a deduction. So you shouldn't make such a deduction since you don't have an evidence. So you must have an evidence in order to deduce such a certainty. So the evidence is here. I saw her driving her father's car alone. So since I saw her driving her father's car alone, it means that I am certain that she have passed her driving test. Okay, so the second example is Amina can't have stolen your money. So you are sure here that Amina hasn't stolen your money. How you are sure? The evidence is that Amina was not at home that day. So another thing that I want you to pay attention to is the use of the tense of the verbs. The tense here is used in the past. It means that we are talking about a past situation, and this is the modal perfect. I use the modal perfect in past to talk about past situations. Okay, now let's pass to expressing possibility. So when I express possibility, I can use may, could, might plus have plus past participle. Here we use this form in order to say that you are not sure about the fact, but you think they are possible. Okay, so here you are not sure about it. So when you say that that something is possible or was possible in the past, you can use may, could, might plus have plus the past participle, and we are going to see the example. So the example here, as you can see, he could have stayed with me. It means it was possible for him to stay with me. I can use could, and I can use also might or can. Okay, in order to talk about possibility in the past. Now, expressing lack of necessity. Lack of necessity means that something which was not necessary. for you to do. And we have two forms. We have needn't have plus past participle, and we have didn't need plus infinitive. So what is the difference between needn't have plus past participle and didn't need to do something? Is that for the first one, we didn't need we needn't have Harry to the airport. The plane was delayed. It means that it was useless for us to hurry to the airport, but we did. So the action was done and it was not necessary for us. While for didn't need plus infinitive, it means that the action was not necessary and we didn't do it. Like the second example, the train was delayed, so we didn't need to hurry. Now let's pass to express an ability. Ability, so that is to say, when you are capable of doing something, and I can express it while using or with the modal verb could. So I can say could plus have plus past participle. I could have gone to an American university, but I didn't want to. So the meaning here that I was able to go to an American university, but I didn't. It means I didn't want to. Let's explain a little bit this example. It means that this person who is talking had got high score while registering in a university abroad, especially in the United States, but he didn't want to go. Okay, this is the meaning. It can also be used to talk about criticism or reproach, and I give you here the meaning of criticism or reproach here between brackets in Arabic. So the example, you could have helped me instead of folding your arms. For example, here this is the mother who is talking. She has a lot of housework to do, but you are taking your phone, you are chatting with your friend, you are playing video games. You don't care about the terrible or the horrible work that your mother has. So instead of helping her, you are chatting in the net. So she says, so you could have helped me instead of folding your hands. Okay. See, it's criticism. This is criticism. She is criticizing your situation of not caring about her and not helping her. Okay. Now let's pass to another thing. And now we have should have plus past participle. Okay. What does this modal verb means? It means this form is used to talk about a past action that didn't happen. However, the action would have been a good idea. That is to say, the good advice is too late. So here, when I use the should, it means that I'm giving an advice. Okay? So when I give advice, I give it with the modal verb should. Okay? And this is something that you have in your national exam, not only in grammar modal verbs, but also in functions. So you should pay attention. So should, ought to, and you'd better, they are modal verbs that we use to give an advice. But here you should have attended your English session. This means that you missed an important English session because for example, the teacher gives us a lot of clarification about a certain lesson, but you didn't. So this is your friend who says this. He should have attended your English session, but you did. But you didn't. And the second example, you shouldn't have insulted him in front of his friend. So your friend is talking to you. Perhaps you have insulted someone in front of his friends, and he is telling you that you shouldn't have insulted him because it was rude of your behalf. Now you shouldn't do this. Or you shouldn't have done this, because we are talking about a past situation. Now let's talk about the modal in the present. So the form first is the modal plus the verb in the infinitive without the to. For example, of course, without the to, it means the bare infinitive. So the models must, can't, may, can, might. So here I gave you the function of each one of them. So must express certainty, can't impossibility, may, can, might, and possibility. The first example, Tom has just bought a new car. So this is the evidence. In order to deduce the conclusion and to be certain of the situation you are talking about, so you must use the modal verb must. And here, look at the verb that comes after the must. It is in the infinitive form. It means that we are talking about a present situation and not a past situation. The same thing with the can't. Nadia hasn't got her passport yet, so she cannot go with us to France. It means it is impossible for her to go with us to France since she has not got her passport yet. The third example is about it may rain tomorrow. I can say it can rain tomorrow. It might rain tomorrow. This is to express possibility in the future. When I say it may rain tomorrow, I'm talking about, so I can use it either in the present situation or in a future situation. It may rain tomorrow. So the time reference here is talking about a future, specific time in the future. It is tomorrow, so it is a possibility in the future. But I can use may, can, and might to talk about a possibility in the in the present, such as don't eat that for example, don't drink this water. It may infect you. Okay, here we are talking about a present possibility. Okay, let's pass to another thing. Okay, now we are going to talk about obligation in the present. How do we express obligation in the present? Of course, with must and have to plus the verb without the to. Okay, but what you should remember is that have to, it is not a modal, it is a semi-modal, because it needs an auxiliary in the infinitive and an auxiliary in the interrogative form. And the two that we have here, when I say you have to respect your parents, for example, the two that we keep, it has no relationship with the main verb of the sentence. It has to do with the modal verb have to. Okay, so you must respect the law. It is an obligation. You must respect your parents. It is an obligation. You must pray 5 times a day. It is an obligation. Okay, and have to is a necessity, rather a necessity. Advisability in the present. How do we give an advice in the present? When I say, for example, I use ought to and should, but the verb that comes after is in the infinitive. So I say you ought to wait until he finishes, or you shouldn't interrupt your boss. So here you are giving advice in the present. It means we have a present situation. Someone is talking to you and trying to give you advice. Now, the last part is modals with the passive voice. So here, I give you here 2 lessons instead of 1, just to refresh your mind. Here, we are going to talk about the modal verbs, the relationship between the modal verbs and the passive passive voice. So the passive voice, you have a part here. Is very important for you to know this part because you will have it in the national exam. So, and if you have in the active form of the sentence can and can't, for example, he can do his work. So if you want to put it in the passive form, you are going to say his work can be done, or he can do his work. His work can't be done. He must do his work. His work must be done. Should, could, would do his work. His work should, could, would be done. Okay, but when it comes to ought to and have to, we don't have the be, only the be. But since we have the to that goes with the modal verb, we are going to attach it to the be and it becomes to be. So here, as I circle it here in the example, you ought to do your exercise. Your exercise ought to be done. So remember, 2 exceptions, ought to and have to. So we don't use only the be, but the whole form of the verb. It is to be. You have to do your homework. your homework have to be done. Okay, so this is for the models in the present. Now for the models in the past, with with the passive voice. So here the same example. You can, you must have done, or he must have done his work. His work can or must have been done. Okay, remember, his work must have been done. He had to do his work. His work had to be done. And he ought to have done his work. His work ought to have been done. Okay? I hope that now you are able to remember or to have a fresh idea about the models, the perfect model and the model used in the present form. So now you know all the functions, you know all the forms that we can use them. So and after that we are going, I will send you some exercises to do. So I ask you to help you do you do them this night. Okay, you just listen and watch the video in order to to be able to refresh your mind with this lesson and to try to do the exercises. Tomorrow we're going to meet inshallah, and if you have any question about this lesson, you just ask me in order to give you more clarification. So I hope I was clear, and I wish you good luck, and see you tomorrow inshallah at 4.